We love old cemeteries and churchyards, so come with us as we explore these places for the past. We were driving through Carluke, heading back towards the motorway, and we saw the old churchyard, so we have stopped for a wee look around. It is, as you can see behind me, quite a nice one, so we'll see what excitement awaits us in here. It is an interesting place because all around it, all the houses look a bit... it's quite interesting how this is laid out. It's not full to capacity, but it looks like they've stopped using it quite a long time ago, because those bits there are still ready to take new burials. But I don't think there's any new burials happening. There's no new tombstones that I can see in this bit. This is a Commonwealth war grave, and it's a different one to the ones we've shown you before, because this is a darker sort of granite stone as opposed to the usual limestone. But this is quite interesting. This is Sergeant Boyd of the Highland Light Infantry, who died 11th October 1915, and I'm guessing that would be his dad, William Boyd, who died October the 8th, 1915, aged 76. So old William died, and then 3 days later, Sergeant R. Boyd died. So this is the town's war memorial, which is in the middle of this graveyard. It is quite a nice memorial. These towns did not hold back in coming forward when it was time to volunteer to go and fight. There's a lot of names on that memorial for quite a small town. And apparently on the way in we saw a sign. This is called the Courageous Town, because they were 3 Victoria Crosses won by men from Carluke. This war memorial doesn't even have space for the people that died in the Second World War, but I do like looking at all of the occupations and all the ranks, because there's farrier George Haig. Farriers put shoes on horses, and there's a drummer, and on the other side there's a piper. And for the Second World War, there's a little bit up there. Where can we squeeze this in? We'll stick it up there. Also those who fell in the World War 1939 to 1945. There are some famous graveyards like Greyfriars in Edinburgh or the Necropolis in Glasgow, but a lot of these smaller ones are just as interesting and usually better kept and a lot quieter. There's never a soul here. I'm guessing the people that died here, their descendants are now, 100 years separated from when these folk were alive. Erected by James Forrest in memory of his sister-in-law, who died aged 14 in 1894, and James Forrest himself, who was accidentally killed near Braidwood Station. Wonder what his story was. I wonder how he was accidentally killed. In fact, quite a few of the gravestones in the cemetery have got who they were erected by first. The people who put them up are the ones that wanted to be famous. It was erected by me, and here's the people that are buried here. Although often the me at the top is also mentioned on the stone a bit further down. But let's go through into what is the oldest part of the old churchyard, and I know that because I did a wee bit of googling, and over there is the ruins of the old church, the tower and the bits that are left, so obviously we're going to go there for a wee look. I do love finding these old cemeteries, as you've probably noticed. Quite liking the atmospheric light thing that's going on just now. The sun's still quite low in the sky, so this is all quite strongly backlit, which makes it sort of dark and moody and mysterious. When we get round the other side, it'll look much less moody and mysterious and probably quite impressive, I am hoping. With its strong sort of mining history, this was quite an affluent place, which is why the graveyards are all full of quite big memorials. And this is about the biggest one that's here. And over there, a local gentleman has been enjoying a wee can of cider at some point. This has had paint thrown at it too, which is a bit odd. An odd target for your vandalism. That's quite an imposing slab, all old and broken. Let's see if we can see anything on it that gives us a bit of a date. Yes, 1785. So there, that's back into the 1700s. Proper history. This is the grave of a guy called the Reverend Peter Kidd, who was a Covenanter. Now, Covenanters did not believe that bishops and kings were in charge of the church. They believed that Christ and God were in charge of the church. A radical idea, I know. He was a minister here until he refused to read out a proclamation in the pulpit. So then he was arrested and eventually locked up on the Bass Rock, which is fairly literally what it sounds like. It is just a big rock. Didn't ever know it was used as a prison, but the Covenanters were not treated kindly. He was out there till his health broke, then he came back and died in his wee parish. We've definitely found the old part of the cemetery. That headstone there is Archibald Lithgow, and it's from 1783, when he was 22 years old. Let's have a wander round and see what else we can find. There are lots of really nice stones, a lot of which have fallen over, admittedly, but it's still quite cool. I mean, that one there looks Not sure what's going on with that. Is that a stag's head on that or something? I don't know. It's difficult to see. But you can use your imagination, which is mostly what I do. That's quite a cool tabletop tombstone, that, isn't it? It's quite an impressive one. It was erected by John James and Thomas Gibb of Quebec and Montreal, Canada. Wow, so they're from Canada, but they had a stone put over here, no doubt for members of their family that are now becoming lost under the frost-covered moss and lichen. Oh right, I'm trying to read this one. It says, erected by James Forrest Lorimer in heads to the memory of William his son, who perished along with his comrade when filling a water barrel at Cartland. Filling a water barrel does not sound like much of a dangerous activity to kill 2 people. So many of these old shattered gravestones are still really interesting. You could spend forever standing here trying to decipher them all. This one, must be quite an old one, because here lies the corpse, but it's spelled C-O-R-P-S, not with an E at the end, so that is something from quite a long time ago. So I think that's about it for this really, really nice wee churchyard. There is something worth visiting in Carluke, and this is it, because I can't think of anything else. That is the bell tower of the old church that is now obviously not there anymore. It's certainly worth a visit if you should find yourself in the area, which you probably won't if you're over here for a holiday. Why would you come to Carluke? This is brilliant. This is a massive tabletop gravestone. That is really quite impressive. What's good about it is, if you look at the text at the top, it's all quite a big font, but there are lots and lots of names on here. There's a guy that died at sea, and it's got the latitude and longitude where he died. There's various members of the family, and as we get towards the bottom, the font is getting smaller and smaller as they're trying to squeeze everybody in without running out of space. And old James Gilchrist of Gilfoot only just managed to squeeze himself on. That's quite simple but effective, isn't it? Here lies Archibald Forrest, who lived in Longshaw and died June 1743. So again, this is quite an old part of this graveyard. Very impressive. I am really, really liking this. A lot of them, as I said before, are falling down or decrepit or generally disappearing from memory, but it's still worth coming to have a wee look and say hello to some of the people that you find here. And that is the back of the tombstone we were just looking at. So there's no iconography on the front, but there is a big angel thing carved on the back. And behind it is the tower that's got a bronze plaque that I'm going to go and see if it tells us anything interesting. Okay, that is quite interesting. It talks about how the graveyard was too small during the reign of Queen Victoria, so the heritors put some money together to extend it, and in total they raised £100 to buy more ground to make the graveyard a wee bitty bigger so they could fit more people in. It's quite a nice tower. A pity the church is now long gone. I wonder what it used to look like. I bet it was quite grand. A lot of these ones were. So that is it for Carluke's nice wee old cemetery, apart from having a look through this window over here to see if there's anything exciting. I'm guessing probably, in fact, definitely not. And this little bit is sort of marked off with curbstones. Let's have a wee look and see what we can see. Samuel Steele, 1801. Who's beside Samuel? It's Marion Steele. Alright, this is the Steele's private family graveyard. There's a William Steele over there, and there is Thomas Steele and his family, a lot of which is now flaking off as the sandstone degrades. Oh, here's something a bit different to the usual. Their name liveth for evermore. Happy, happy stuff when somebody dies. Weary are we, and the harvest is not ended. Our weapons fail us, and our sands are run. Toil on who may, for us life's journey is ended, our day is done. And this is us back into the extension bit to the cemetery, the bit that, as you saw back there, they paid £100 for. I think that was £100 very well spent.